June checked the air filter on his Mars base for the third time that day. The red dust kept finding ways to get in. He wiped his forehead and looked out the thick window at the rust-colored landscape. Mars had been his home for 2 years now. Sometimes he forgot what Earth looked like. "Analysis complete," said the computer voice. June moved to his desk where a small rock sample sat under a scanner. The screen showed its makeup, mostly iron oxide. Nothing special. Another normal day, he said to himself. June was a geologist, sent to Mars to study its rocks. The company that sent him wanted to know if Mars had any valuable minerals. June liked the quiet work. After his wife died in the Shanghai floods, he couldn't stand to be around people anymore. Here, millions of miles from Earth, he found peace. June made a simple dinner of rice and dried vegetables. As he ate, he watched the sunset through his window. Mars sunsets were always beautiful. The sky turned from dusty orange to deep blue as the small sun sank below the horizon. Just as he finished his meal, a loud alarm rang through the base. "Warning! Unknown object approaching. Impact in Western Sector in 40 seconds." June jumped up and ran to the monitor. The radar showed something coming in fast. Too fast for a meteor, but too small for a ship. At least too small for a human ship. "Computer, show me the Western cameras." The screen switched to a view of the dark Martian landscape. In the distance, a bright light streaked across the sky. It wasn't falling like a meteor. It was slowing down, changing direction. Then it disappeared behind a ridge. June's heart beat faster. This was no meteor. He grabbed his emergency pack and put on his Mars suit, a bulky thing that would keep him alive in the thin, cold air outside. He had to see what had landed. "Computer, I'm going to check the Western Sector. Keep the base secure." "Confirmed. Please exercise caution, Dr. Kim." June drove his rover over the rocky ground. The headlights cut through the darkness, showing the way. After 15 minutes, he saw it, a strange shape that didn't belong on Mars. As he got closer, he could see it was a small ship, about the size of his rover. It was smooth and oval-shaped, with no obvious engines. A soft blue light came from inside. June stopped his rover at a safe distance and looked through his binoculars. The ship had a crack along one side. Small sparks flew from the damage. As he watched, a part of the ship slid open, and something came out. It looked almost human, but not quite. In the blue light from the ship, June could see the figure was slim and moved gracefully despite the low gravity. It wore some kind of suit with a clear helmet. Through the helmet, June saw a face that made him gasp. She, had blue skin. Not dark blue, but a soft, pale blue like Earth's sky on a clear day. Her hair floated around her head like it was underwater, and it seemed to glow slightly. Her eyes were large and had no whites, just solid purple irises. She was checking her ship, touching the damaged area with what looked like tools. She hadn't seen June yet. June's mind raced. He should call Earth. This was first contact with an alien species, but the communication satellite was down for maintenance. He couldn't reach Earth for another 8 hours. He would have to handle this alone. He turned on his suit's speaker. "Hello," he said, keeping his voice calm. "Do you need help?" The figure spun around, dropping her tools. She backed against her ship, clearly afraid. One hand went to her belt where something that might be a weapon hung. June raised his hands to show they were empty. "I won't hurt you. I'm alone here. My name is June." The alien didn't move for a long moment. Then, slowly, she raised her hand in what might have been a greeting. When she spoke, her voice came through clearly, as if she had already figured out how to use her suit to communicate with his. "I am Hannah of the Lumina. My ship was damaged by a solar flare. I need to make repairs." Her voice had a musical quality, and she spoke perfect English with no accent. June was amazed. "I have tools at my base," he said, "and supplies. You're welcome to use them." Hannah tilted her head, studying him. "You're not afraid of me?" June almost laughed. I've been alone on Mars for 2 years. I'm happy to see anyone, even someone from another planet. Most species react with fear to first contact, she said. Maybe I'm not like most people, Jun replied. After some hesitation, Hannah agreed to come to his base. She brought a small pack from her ship and followed him in the rover. She sat very straight, looking at everything with great interest. At the base, Jun showed her inside. Once they were in the airlock, Hannah removed her helmet. Without the glass between them, her features were even more striking. Her blue skin had faint patterns like swirls that seemed to move slightly when she turned her head. Her hair wasn't really hair at all, but thin crystal-like strands that caught the light and broke it into tiny rainbows. Your atmosphere is compatible with my biology, she said, taking a deep breath. Though the oxygen level is higher than I'm used to. Let me show you around, Jun said, trying not to stare. It's not much, but it's home. As they walked through the small base, Hannah explained more about herself. The Lumina were an old species that had mastered space travel thousands of years ago. They studied other worlds but rarely made contact with developing civilizations. We've observed Earth for centuries, she said. Your kind is interesting. So emotional, so creative, so destructive too. Is that why you've never contacted us? Jun asked. Partly, she said. Also, your world is very divided. Who would we contact? Which government? We wait until a species has a unified planetary leadership before official contact. Jun showed her his lab, where he studied Mars rocks. Hannah seemed genuinely interested in his work, asking smart questions about Earth geology that showed she already knew a lot about his planet. You're a long way from home, Jun said. What brought you to Mars? I study developing worlds, she said. I was mapping the outer planets in your system when the solar flare hit my ship. I had to make an emergency landing. As they talked, Jun felt more comfortable. Despite her alien appearance, Hannah was easy to talk to. She had a curiosity about humans that made her ask fascinating questions. Do you miss Earth? She asked as they sat drinking tea in his small kitchen. Sometimes, Jun said, but there wasn't much left for me there. He found himself telling her about his wife, about the floods that had killed millions. Hannah listened with genuine sympathy. Your species feels deeply, she said. We Luminite experience emotions differently, more measured. Some of my people think it makes us superior. I disagree. There's something beautiful about how fully you experience life. Later, Jun showed her his collection of unusual Mars minerals. This one is my favorite, he said, pointing to a red crystal with black streaks. I've never seen anything like it before. Hannah leaned closer, fascinated. May I? She asked, reaching for it. Of course, Jun said. The moment Hannah's fingers touched the crystal, there was a flash of light. She jerked her hand back with a cry of pain. Jun saw with horror that her fingertips had turned gray, like stone. What's happening? He asked, alarmed. Hannah's face showed fear for the first time. This mineral, it's reacting with my biology. My people are silicon-based, not carbon-based like humans. The gray color was spreading up her fingers, turning them stiff and rock-like. I've seen this before, she whispered. We call it stone death. The crystallization will spread throughout my body. There must be something we can do, Jun said, grabbing his scanner to examine her hand. Hannah looked at him, her purple eyes wide with fear. If we don't stop it, I'll turn completely to stone in a matter of days. She paused, then added quietly, You, Jun, might be my only hope. Jun stared at Hannah's hand in horror. The gray, stone-like material had spread past her wrist and was creeping up her arm. Her blue skin was turning dull and hard wherever the strange transformation touched. We need to slow it down, Jun said, rushing to his medical cabinet. His hand shook as he pulled out supplies. Hannah sat very still, watching the stone spread. On my world, we have seen this before. The mineral creates a chain reaction with our silicon-based cells. Has anyone survived it? June asked, preparing a cooling pack. Yes, there is a cure, but it requires special elements. Hannah's voice was calm, but June could see fear in her purple eyes. Some of these elements exist on Earth. June wrapped the cooling pack around her arm. The cold might slow the process, like slowing a chemical reaction. Hannah nodded. Good thinking. My people use a similar approach. For the next hour, June tried everything he could think of. He scanned Hannah's arm, studied the results, and tested different solutions. Nothing stopped the spread, though the cooling packs seemed to slow it down a little. By evening, the stone had covered Hannah's entire left arm. She could no longer move it, and the weight made her lean to one side when she stood. The stone was spreading across her shoulder toward her chest. Tell me more about this cure, Jim said as he prepared another cooling pack. It's a combination of minerals and radiation, Hannah explained. The minerals break the bonds between the stone and living tissue. The radiation provides energy for the reversal. Which minerals? Maybe I have them here. I doubt it. They are rare even on Earth. Hannah's voice was getting weaker. One is found deep in your oceans, another in your mountains. June checked his computer. I can't contact Earth for another 4 hours when the communication satellite is back online. But even then, it would take weeks for a rescue ship to reach us. Hannah looked at her stone arm. I don't have weeks. Maybe 3 days before the stone reaches my brain. June ran his hands through his hair, thinking hard. Your ship, can it fly? Not far. The main engine is damaged. But could it make it to Earth? Hannah considered this. Possibly. The secondary systems might get us to Earth, but landing would be difficult. And Earth has defense systems that might see us as a threat. I have an idea, June said. I know someone on Earth who can help us. An old friend who studies rare minerals. If we can reach Earth, he can get what we need. June spent the next hours preparing for the journey. He packed food, water, medical supplies, and his research tools. Hannah tried to help, but moving was becoming harder for her. The stone had reached her chest and was spreading down toward her waist. I've sent a message to my friend June said as he checked his oxygen tanks. He'll meet us if we make it to Earth. You're risking a lot for someone you just met, Hannah said quietly. June paused. Maybe on Earth I wouldn't. But here, when you're alone on Mars for 2 years, you think differently about things. About what matters. When the stone reached Hannah's waist, June helped her to her ship. Moving her was difficult. Half her body was now solid rock, heavy even in Mars' low gravity. Inside her ship, he found space suits, strange tools, and a pilot's chair that seemed to mold itself to the user's body. Can you still fly this? He asked. Hannah nodded slowly. I can connect directly to the ship's systems, but you'll need to help me. The inside of the alien craft was nothing like human ships. Instead of buttons and screens, there were crystal-like growths that glowed with soft light. Hannah placed her good hand on one of these and closed her eyes. The ship hummed to life around them. It responds to your thoughts? June asked in amazement. Yes, my people build our technology to work with our natural abilities. Her voice sounded strained. The ship understands what I need. The small craft rose from the Martian surface with barely a sound. June watched through a clear panel as his base grew smaller below them. He had lived there for 2 years, and now he was leaving with almost no warning, trusting his life to alien technology and a being he had just met. As they left Mars' orbit, Hannah explained more about her people. The Lumina had evolved on a world of crystals and silicon, developing technology that worked in harmony with natural processes. They had spread to many star systems, but were careful not to interfere with developing species like humans. My people will not approve of this contact, she said. I've broken our most important rule by revealing myself to you. You had no choice, June said. Still, if I survive, I may face exile. She looked at her stone body, now rigid from the waist up. Only her right arm, neck, and head could still move. Perhaps that won't matter. As they traveled, June noticed Hannah's speech was slowing. Her thoughts seemed to be affected by the spreading stone. "Hannah, stay with me," he said, touching her good hand. "Tell me about your home. What's it like?" Her purple eyes focused on him. "Beautiful," she said softly. "Our cities are built into crystal mountains. Light moves through everything, creating colors you can't imagine. At night, the 3 moons make the crystals glow. It sounds wonderful." "It is. But," she paused, seeming to struggle with her thoughts, "sometimes I think we've lost something. We've become like our crystals. Perfect, orderly, unchanging." "What do you mean?" "We don't create art like humans do. We don't feel deeply. We solve problems with logic, not passion." Her eyes met his. "That's why I study other worlds. To understand what we've lost." The journey to Earth would take 12 hours in Hannah's fast ship. 8 hours in, the stone had reached her neck. Her voice was barely a whisper now, and June had to lean close to hear her. "June," she said, "if I can't speak soon, you need to know how to land the ship." She explained how the ship's systems worked, showing him how to place his hand on the crystal control panel. "It will read your intent. Think clearly about what you want." "I've never flown anything more complicated than a rover," June said doubtfully. "The ship will do most of the work. You just guide it." As Earth grew larger in their view, June saw the stone creep up Hannah's neck toward her jaw. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes were growing dull. The vibrant purple was fading to a flat gray. "Hannah, we're almost there," he said, squeezing her good hand. "Stay with me." Her lips moved slightly. "Thank you for trying." June looked at Earth growing larger in their view. The blue planet, his home, looked both welcoming and dangerous. He knew human authorities would not be happy about an alien ship entering their atmosphere. They might shoot first and ask questions later. He had received a brief message from Jin. "Landing area prepared. South Korean mountains. Follow coordinates. Hurry." As they approached Earth, alarms began to sound in the ship. Red lights flashed on the crystal panels. "Defense systems," Hannah whispered. "They've detected us." June placed his hand on the control crystal as Hannah had shown him. He thought clearly about hiding, about becoming invisible to Earth's tracking systems. The ship responded, its outer surface changing to absorb radar signals. The alarms quieted, but June knew they weren't safe yet. "We need to move fast," he told Hannah. "Jin is waiting for us." But Hannah didn't answer. The stone had reached her jaw, and her eyes were half closed. Only the slight rise and fall of her chest showed she was still alive. June took a deep breath and focused on the ship's controls. "Hold on, Hannah," he said. "I'm getting you to Earth. I promise." He guided the ship toward the coordinates Jin had sent, hoping his friend had found the minerals they needed. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, the ship shook violently. June held onto Hannah's stone body, keeping her secure in her seat. The mountains of South Korea came into view below them. Somewhere down there was their one chance to save Hannah from turning completely to stone. June looked at Hannah's face, now mostly gray stone except for her eyes and part of her forehead. Those purple eyes, once so bright and curious, were now dull and barely moving. "We're here," he told her, not sure if she could still hear him. "And I'm not giving up on you." The alien ship landed roughly in a small clearing between tall pine trees. June had done his best, but landing was not easy. The ship skidded across the ground, knocking down small trees before coming to a stop. Inside, June checked on Hannah. The stone had covered most of her face now. Only her eyes and part of her forehead remained blue. She couldn't speak anymore. Her eyes blinked slowly, showing she was still conscious inside her stone prison. "We made it," June told her, squeezing her shoulder even though he knew she couldn't feel it through the stone. "Jin should be here soon." June put on his jacket against the cold mountain air and opened the ship's door. Outside, early morning light filtered through the trees. The air smelled of pine and earth, smells he had almost forgotten during his years on Mars. But he had no time to enjoy his return to Earth. A small electric truck appeared through the trees. Jin stepped out, his face a mix of shock and worry. He was shorter than June, with round glasses and a serious face. They had been research partners before June left for Mars. "June," Jin called. "I almost didn't believe your message." "An alien?" Turning to Stone. "It's all true," June said, hugging his old friend quickly. "She's inside. We don't have much time." Jin followed June into the ship and stopped short when he saw Hana. "My God," he whispered. "She's really alien." "Yes," June said impatiently. "And mostly stone now." "Did you bring the minerals I asked for?" Jin nodded, still staring at Hana. "Yes, it wasn't easy on such short notice. I had to call in favors from colleagues all over the country." He placed a heavy case on the floor and opened it. Inside were several containers with different minerals. "Will these work?" June asked Hana. Her eyes moved slightly, looking at the case. She blinked once. The signal they had worked out for yes. "We need to get her to my lab," Jin said. "I have equipment there that might help. But moving her won't be easy. She must weigh a ton now." "The stone isn't as heavy as it looks," June explained. "It's some kind of alien mineral, different from Earth rocks." Together, they managed to lift Hana from the ship and place her in the back of Jin's truck. Her body was rigid, frozen in a sitting position. Only her eyes moved, following their actions. "My lab is abandoned now," Jin explained as they drove down the mountain road. "After the climate crisis, this area was evacuated. The government lets me use it for research, but there's no one else around for miles." June looked out the window at the landscape. Much had changed in the 2 years he'd been gone. The forests looked sickly, with many dead trees. The sky had a strange yellow tint. "Things got worse after you left," Jin said quietly. "More storms, more floods. That's why they sent so many people to the Mars colonies." They arrived at a concrete building partly hidden by trees. Jin's lab was cold and dusty, with old equipment pushed against the walls. In the center was a large table where they placed Hana. Jin examined her with a scanner. "Fascinating," he said. "The stone is like nothing I've seen before. It's a silicon-based crystal, but it's growing like a living thing." "Can you stop it?" June asked. "Maybe. The minerals you asked for might help." Jin opened the containers and began mixing powders in a solution. "But we need a way to get this mixture into her system." June thought about what Hana had told him. She said radiation was part of the cure, something to provide energy for the reversal. Jin nodded. "I have an idea. My lab has a specialized radiation emitter for crystallography research." As they worked, an alarm sounded from a computer in the corner. "What's that?" June asked. Jin looked worried. "Drone detection system. The military knows something entered our atmosphere. They're searching the area." "How long until they find us?" "An hour, maybe less." They worked faster. Jin prepared the mineral solution, while June set up the radiation emitter. They had to guess at the right settings since Hana could no longer guide them. "I think we're missing something," Jin said, looking at his mixture. "The solution isn't stable. It needs one more element to bind everything together." June looked at Hana. The stone had almost completely covered her eyes now. Soon, she would be entirely encased. "What kind of element?" he asked desperately. "Something rare, something that can bond with both organic and silicon-based structures." Jin checked his supplies. "I don't have anything like that here." June remembered something. "In the hills near your old university," he said, "we found that unusual mineral deposit, the one with the blue crystals." Jin's eyes widened. "Songite. Yes, that might work, but those mines were closed years ago. They're not safe." "Do we have a choice?" June asked. Jin shook his head. "I'll go. I know the way. You stay with Hannah and keep working on the emitter." After Jin left, Jun sat beside Hannah. Her eyes were now just small purple slits in the gray stone face. "Hold on," he told her. "Jin will be back soon. Please hold on." The stone continued to spread, covering the last patch of blue skin on her forehead. Soon only tiny slits remained where her eyes had been. June couldn't tell if she was still conscious inside. The hours passed slowly. The alarm on Jin's computer beeped more frequently, showing the drones were getting closer. June watched the mountain road through the window, willing Jin to return. Finally, Jin's truck appeared, speeding down the road. June ran out to meet him. "I got it," Jin shouted, holding up a small container with glowing blue crystals. "But we have company. Military helicopters are right behind me." They rushed inside. Jin quickly added the blue crystals to his mixture. The solution began to glow with a soft light. "It's working," he said. "Now we need to get this into her system and activate the radiation." "How?" June asked. "She's solid stone now." Jin examined Hannah carefully. "There's a small crack here, near what was her throat. We might be able to get some of the solution in." They carefully poured the glowing liquid into the crack. It seemed to disappear into Hannah's stone body, absorbed like water into a sponge. "Now the radiation," Jin said, turning on the emitter. The blue light bathed Hannah's stone form. Outside, they heard the sound of helicopters. "They're here," Jin said. "We're out of time." The door burst open. Soldiers in black uniforms entered, weapons raised. "Hands up," shouted their leader, a stern-faced woman with the name Captain So on her uniform. "Step away from the object." June and Jin raised their hands but stayed beside Hannah. "Please," Jun said. "We're trying to save her. She's not a threat." "Save who?" Captain So asked, approaching cautiously. "That's just a statue." "No, she's an alien visitor," Jin explained. "She accidentally triggered a reaction that's turning her to stone. We've just given her the cure, but we don't know if it's working." Captain So looked at them like they were crazy. "An alien? Do you expect me to believe that?" "Look at her," Jun said. "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" The captain studied Hannah's stone form. The strange shape, the hint of alien features. It was clearly not a normal statue. "What is that glow?" she asked, noticing a faint blue light coming from inside the stone. "The cure, we hope," Jin said. The soldiers moved around the lab, checking equipment and the alien ship visible through the window. "My orders are to secure any unknown objects that entered our atmosphere," Captain So said. "That includes whatever this is." "You can't move her now," June pleaded. "The process has just started. If you interrupt it, she could die." Captain So seemed to consider this. "You have 1 hour to prove this is what you say it is. After that, we're taking it to a secure facility." As she spoke, a small cracking sound came from Hannah's stone form. Everyone turned to look. A tiny piece of stone fell from her face, revealing a small patch of blue skin underneath. "It's working," Jun whispered, hope rising in his chest. Another crack appeared, then another. Small pieces of stone began to fall away from Hannah's face. Captain So stared in amazement. "What is happening?" "She's coming back," Jun said, his voice full of emotion. "She's fighting the stone." More cracks spread across Hannah's stone body. The blue glow from inside grew stronger, shining through the gaps like sunlight through clouds. The soldiers backed away, raising their weapons nervously. "Hold your fire," Captain So ordered. "Nobody shoots unless I command it." A large piece of stone fell from Hannah's face, revealing one of her purple eyes. The eye moved, focusing on June. "Hannah," he said softly, "you're coming back to us." Everyone in the lab watched as more cracks spread across Hannah's stone body. Blue light shined through each new gap. The stone fell away in small chunks, revealing patches of blue skin underneath. Captain So ordered her soldiers to back up, giving Hannah space. "Nobody touches anything," she commanded. June moved closer to Hannah. Her one exposed eye followed him. More stone fell from her face, freeing her mouth. "June," she whispered, her voice weak but clear. "You did it." "We did it," he corrected her, smiling with relief. Jin found the missing mineral. Jin adjusted the radiation emitter, increasing its power. "The process is working, but it's slow. We need to keep the radiation going." Captain So stepped forward, her hand still on her weapon. "I need answers. Now, what exactly is happening here?" June stood between the captain and Hannah. "Her name is Hannah. She's from a species called the Lumina. Her ship was damaged, and she had to make an emergency landing on Mars, where I was working as a geologist. She touched a mineral that caused this reaction because her biology is silicon-based, not carbon-based like ours. Silicon-based life." Captain So looked skeptical. "That's impossible." "Clearly not," Jin said, pointing to Hannah as more stone fell away from her shoulders. "Her body chemistry is completely different from ours. That's why the mineral affected her this way." Captain So studied Hannah with narrowed eyes. "And you brought an alien to Earth without authorization." "She would have died," Jun said simply. "The cure could only be found here." One of the soldiers approached Captain So and whispered something. She nodded. "My superiors want this visitor transported to a secure facility immediately," she announced. "We're setting up a containment unit now." "No," Jun said firmly. "Moving her could interrupt the healing process, and she's not a threat." "That's not your decision to make," Captain So replied. "This is a matter of national security." More stone fell from Hannah's body. Her right arm was almost free now, and she slowly lifted it. Everyone tensed, but she only reached out to touch Jun's hand. "It's okay," she said softly. "I understand their fear." 3 more military trucks arrived outside. Soldiers began unloading equipment, including what looked like a large container. Jin pulled Jun aside. "They're going to take her no matter what we say, but the process needs at least 6 more hours to complete. If they move her now—" Jun thought quickly. He walked back to Captain So. "I have a proposal. Let us finish the treatment here. I'll tell you everything about Hannah's people, their technology, everything I know. Just give us 6 hours." Captain So considered this. 3 hours, and you start talking now." Jun agreed. While the soldiers set up equipment around the lab, he told Captain So about the Lumina, their advanced technology, their peaceful exploration, their policy of non-interference with developing species like humans. "If they're so advanced, why haven't they contacted us officially?" she asked. "They wait until a species has unified planetary leadership," Jun explained. "Earth is still too divided." "Convenient," Captain So said skeptically. Meanwhile, the treatment continued. More and more stone fell away from Hannah. Her torso was mostly free now, though her lower body remained solid stone. Jin carefully collected the fallen pieces for study. 2 hours later, a new helicopter landed outside. A tall man in a formal military uniform entered, flanked by guards. Everyone stood at attention. "General Du," Captain So said with a salute. The general nodded to her, then looked at Hannah with wonder. "So it's true. An actual alien visitor." He approached Hannah, studying her carefully. Hannah met his gaze without fear. "Can you understand me?" he asked her. "Yes, General," she replied, her voice stronger now. "I speak all Earth languages." "All of them?" he asked, surprised. "We've been observing Earth for centuries," she explained. "Language is the first thing we learn about any species." The general turned to Jun. "And you helped her? Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Jun said. "She needed help. I could give it." General Du nodded thoughtfully. "Captain So tells me you're a Mars geologist. You gave up your position there to bring her here." "Yes. Why risk so much for someone not even from your world?" Jun looked at Hannah. "Living alone on Mars changes your perspective. I learned that what matters isn't where someone is from, but who they are." Hannah was curious, kind, interested in understanding others. That's worth saving, no matter what planet someone calls home. The general was quiet for a moment. Then he turned to Captain So. What's the status of the containment unit? Ready in 30 minutes, sir. General Du looked back at Hana, who was now free from stone down to her waist. And how long until she's completely recovered? About 4 more hours, Jin answered. The general made his decision. Complete the treatment here. I want to talk with our visitor when she's fully recovered. Captain So looked surprised. Sir, protocol says. I know the protocol, Captain. But this situation is unprecedented. He looked at June. Your loyalty to your friend is admirable. Not many would make the choices you did. The general stayed to watch the process. He asked Hana many questions about her world, her technology, her people's history. Hana answered honestly, though she explained there were some things she couldn't share due to her people's rules. By evening, the last pieces of stone fell away from Hana's feet. She stood shakily, supported by June. Thank you, she said to him, her voice full of emotion. My people don't say this often, but I owe you my life. General Du stepped forward. What will you do now? Your ship is damaged. I can repair it, Hana said. The main systems are still working. And then, I must return to my people. Tell them what happened. She looked at June. And what I learned. What did you learn? The general asked.